At work, it can feel like stress is coming from deadlines, meetings, and expectations. But what if the pressure you feel isn't actually coming from the outside world? I'm Luke Richardson, and this is Wave Work Stress Goodbye, a podcast exploring the inside-out understanding and seeing how our minds work can transform the way we experience work, pressure, and performance. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. Welcome back to Wave Work Stress Goodbye. I want to kick things off by saying a special mention, and that special mention is this podcast celebrates its first birthday this Monday gone. So Monday the 10th of August, I recorded my first ever podcast episode. And I'll be honest, I just put something out there. I didn't have a clue what I was doing, but was amazed that I managed to get something online for you guys to listen to. And this is my opportunity to thank you. Thank you for if you are a return listener. And thank you also if you're a new listener. Thank you for supporting me, supporting my podcast and listening. It means a great deal to me that you've took your own time to do that. So if you're enjoying the podcast, like and subscribe and follow. It really helps the show and gives me an idea of what kind of people are listening to it, so I can cater the episodes to these particular people. And today's episode is about sleep. So it's not going to be a podcast where I give you 5 to 10 tips on how to sleep. It's not going to be, make your bedroom cooler, make sure it's dark enough, make sure you've exercised well about 4 hours before you go to sleep. No, you've got the wrong podcast if you're after that. I'm here to help you, corporate professionals and other workers, see where life is coming from, and that includes when you're trying to go to bed at night. Because when corporate workers, go to bed at night, they tend to take the job to bed with them. In other words, they're lying on the pillow, they're trying to sleep, but they're finding themselves staring at the ceiling and having thoughts going around in circles over and over again about work. And I know people are doing that because when I was a corporate professional, well, I still am, but when I was a project manager, I did exactly the same thing. Particularly during our busy period. So I was a project manager for 7 years, if you don't know my backstory. And our kind of niche, our target, our industry was internet deliveries, so internet installations at student accommodation buildings. So about this time of year, actually, so June, July, August, going into September, when universities will start again, certainly in the UK anyway, I'd be lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, going over, as I just said, going over and over in my thoughts, and feeling sick to my stomach about it. I'd go over the day's events, what went well, what went right, what I need to do tomorrow, what I need to say to that person, what if this person calls me, what if this person emails me, I've got this deadline for 2 weeks, how the hell am I going to get it done? Going over and over again. And maybe that's why you're listening to this podcast, because maybe you were one of those people that you're really proud of what you do, you're really proud of your job, what you do on paper, but when you get home and you're trying to sleep at night, you just can't help but go through those thoughts over and over again in your mind. And it's tiring, right? It's exhausting, and you what should be an experience of bliss, of having a good night's sleep, turns into a shit night's sleep, and you wake up in the morning not as refreshed and going through the same day again, and you go to bed that night, and again you've got thoughts going over and over in your mind. You don't feel like it's until Friday night and Saturday night where you feel like you've got a little bit of respite from that vicious cycle. And I'm pointing to this again, that we are experience beings. So we think, whatever we think, we're going to feel. So if we're thinking positive thoughts, we're going to feel positive. If we're thinking negative thoughts, we're going to feel negative. And it's that simple, really. And that's true for you, listener, corporate professional listener, and me as well, podcast host. And it's true for your co-worker, it's true for your colleague, it's true for your mum and dad, it's true for your brother and your sister, it's true for your son and your daughter and your spouse. Everyone, no exceptions, thinks and feels their way through life. So, without sounding too disrespectful and simplistic, when you're going to bed in an evening, as a corporate professional, having had a grueling day at work, and you've done your evening after work, you've gone to bed, you're lying on the pillow, just wide awake. What is going on there, deep down? Well, of course, there's a lot of scientific factors surrounding lack of sleep. You could have eaten too close to bed. You could be too highly stimulated before bed, so checking your phone too close. There's all sorts of scientific reasons surrounding, you being highly awake at night, and I'm not dismissing those. And, there's other podcasts out there that'll explain that to you better than I can. But I'm pointing to something much, much, much deeper about what's going on to help you. Because this is about noticing. I've just explained to you how life works through the inside out. And when you go to bed at night and you're wanting a good night's sleep and you're kind of wanting to separate yourself from that mental jargon, the key here the amazing thing is you don't have to do anything. There's no 3-step ritual to get you from going to bed to a good night's sleep. The key here is noticing and awareness. Because noticing and awareness, because lying in bed at night, noticing your obscure, repetitive, scary thinking gives you the opportunity to separate yourself from that. Because that scary and anxious thinking is not really you. It just feels like you. And when you're lying in bed at night and you can notice that thinking going on, then you can just think, oh, I know what's going on here. That is just my thinking going round and round and round. And do you know what the cool thing is about this thinking? It's not the real me, and all I have to do is ignore it. And again, I don't mean to sound as simplistic about that, but it's true. It really is true, because if it was the job, then you'd go to bed on a Friday night and a Saturday night thinking the exact same things, and you think it is because the job that Friday nights and Saturday nights feel a lot lighter. You think that gives you the excuse to not have to think about work as much, and it's an innocent misunderstanding, which is why you're going around in a vicious cycle, because you think content out there, life out there, is dictating your experience in here, and it doesn't work that way. It really doesn't work that way. And when you realize it doesn't work that way, and you notice and have the awareness and a separation from those thoughts, that is the key to your happiness, for you to thrive to your full potential, and also to give you a good night's sleep at night, which you thoroughly deserve, by the way. It's your birthright to not only have a good night's sleep at night, but to feel good about yourself as well. Now, as I said to you, I suffered from this, and eventually I quit my job. And I'm not saying that if you're in a crap job you should stay in it, but what this gives you is the opportunity to quieten your thinking down, so you can see clearly, to realise, is this job right for me? Is this job what I really want to do? Is it right for me? Is it serving me? Is it growing me as a person? And if it is, then this awareness gives you the space to realise that and think, you know what, I've worked so hard, I wouldn't want to do anything else, and I want to stay in this job. I love it, and when I get rid of my obscure thinking, then this is the job for me. I wouldn't want to do anything else. But on the flip side, if you are seeing more clearly, getting your thinking out of the way, and this was me, by the way, a couple of years ago. I got my thinking out of the way, my thinking calmed down, and I thought about it for a minute and thought, you know what, this job isn't serving me, now I can see more clearly. I'm not growing as a person. In fact, I'm shrinking as a person. My world is getting smaller by the year in this job. Do I have the opportunity now? Now I'm thinking more clearly to stay or go. And I decided to go, and it was the best thing for me. And it could be the best thing for you, but you need to make that decision with a clear head. Because if you're doing it from a head of noisy thinking, you're going to have a knee-jerk reaction, and you might think further down the line, oh, I wasn't seeing clearly back then. Was it the right thing for me after I worked so hard to get to that point in my career? You'd question yourself about it. Whereas if you, with a clear head, take the time to make that decision for yourself, and leaving a job might be the best thing for you. What I point to in these podcast episodes is how experience works for each and every one of us in its simplistic form. We think and we feel. And what we think and we feel is our reality, and that's my reality. However you think and feel will be your reality, and so on. It's not just not to tell you to stay in a job or leave a job, but it's to give you the headspace and the wisdom to make the right decisions for you in life. A decision like staying in a job and leaving a job, and as a decision as simple as what you're gonna have for your evening meal. Right? Me and my wife sit down and we do our weekly shop on a we do a weekly shop on a Friday. My wife does the weekly family shop, and we sit down on a Thursday night, and our head is all a mess from the day's events, and we look at each other and laugh because my wife says to me, "What would you like for tea next Wednesday?" And I'm just looking at her thinking, "Oh my goodness, I don't know what I want for tea tomorrow. Never mind what I want for evening meal and tea next week." But our heads aren't necessarily in the right place to do a shopping list. And it's only when our thinking calms down and we reflect and allow the space and wisdom to come through us that we think, oh, we've got some pork in the freezer. Why don't we do, a pork schnitzel? Or we've got some minced beef in the freezer. Why don't we do spaghetti bolognese? And, oh, we've not had that for a while. Let's buy some chicken and have some fajitas. It's not until the wisdom comes through that we know what the right thing to do is, and that's as simple as doing a food shop list. And I don't know if you were living under a rock this week, you might have missed that there was an eclipse going on, a solar eclipse, and it was the first eclipse since, I don't want to say that because I don't think that's necessarily true, but I think it was the biggest eclipse since 1999, and I remember the 1999 one really, really well. I was sat down in the living room with my sister, my mum and dad, and we watched it on the television. And it was August 99, and I remember thinking, wow, that's amazing. And I haven't really thought about it too much until I heard on the news that there was going to be another similar eclipse, and my wife just in time managed to get us some special glasses, and I came home from work on Wednesday just gone, and my wife told me to my wife actually said to me, would you be able to knock off work a little bit earlier this Wednesday, because I won't want you to miss the eclipse. I leave work at 5:30, and I went, sure. So I managed to leave work at 5, got back, we went in the garden, we put the television on as well, but went back in the garden, and my wife, as I say, bought some special glasses, and we all went out onto our front drive, and the neighbour who told my wife about the eclipse had his special glasses on, and he was watching already, and we joined him, all four of us, me and my wife and my two daughters, and we put on our special glasses, and we looked at the eclipse, and how incredible was it? I don't particularly, well, I do understand, because as I say, everyone's got their own thinking and realities, but I've seen a lot of comments on social media how boring it was. I mean, come on. I thought it was absolutely incredible. We put on our special glasses, we looked at the eclipse and how beautiful it was, and I was like, wow, and yeah, amazing. And why am I telling this story? I'm not kind of swiftly moving on from how we think and feel to the eclipse for no reason. I'm talking about the eclipse because, if you're lucky like me to look at the eclipse, or you're aware of the eclipse, you watched it on television, what do you think that is? That moment, the eclipse, is a force of nature. That's spiritual energy. And we don't really see that it's spiritual energy, because when we're looking at it, we're looking at the form of it, the shape of it, what's happening with the moon going over between the sun and the earth. and the darkness coming, and we're thinking, oh, that's great, but we don't really think too much deeply about what's really going on. That is a force of nature, and that force of nature is no different to you, corporate worker, no different to you as a human being. You are a force of nature as well, just like I am. And that eclipse is a spiritual thing, and it's going to be a spiritual thing the next time it happens as well. And that's how eclipses work, right? And that's no different from how you work, corporate worker, as a human being. You think and you feel, and that is also a form of nature, a spiritual energy running through you. But again, just like the eclipse, you don't see that because you think and feel all day, every day. So what's the big deal, right? Well, the big deal is that when you notice, hear these words again, as you notice and have the awareness of you being a thinking and feeling creature, then when you have obscure, negative, and worried thinking in the middle of the night, lying in bed, noticing is the key. Noticing your spiritual presence and your spiritual energy is key to helping you live a prosperous life. Because worried and anxious thinking has no anchorage, right? When has worried and anxious thinking had a consequence for you? In other words, you can be worried and anxious for all day. Let's just say to keep it simple. It's a Monday, and you've been worried and anxious from the minute you woke up in the morning to the minute you went to bed at night. Worried all day. Yeah, right. You are thinking and feeling that, and that's coming through your body, and it feels so real. But what consequence does that have when you wake up on Tuesday morning? You don't wake up on a Tuesday morning after being anxious all day on a Monday and have a consequence of that, because your reality could change for Tuesday. And it could be positive, it could be a strong outlook on life, it could be totally different to the previous day. And there's no consequence of that negative feeling, there's no anchorage. And the reason I'm giving that example that there's no anchorage is because it was an illusion. It was a temporary illusion on the Monday of how you felt, how you experienced life. And Tuesday has brought its new opportunity of an experience. And whatever you think and feel on Tuesday, whether that's good or bad, is going to be your reality. But the past is the past. The Monday's gone. The experience is dead. And that's freeing, because if you had a shit night's sleep and a bad experience the previous night, it's dead. And you have the opportunity the next morning, the next afternoon, the next evening to have a much more lighter experience of life. And you can take it to bed with you, that experience. Keep it with you and just think, and if obscure thoughts in the middle of the night start creeping in when your head hits the pillow, you can just notice. Notice deeply what is really going on there. And when you notice what's really, really going on there, you are free. You are free to have a good night's sleep, to enjoy your life, and to thrive in whatever you do in your day job. Guaranteed. And that's the homework I want to give to you guys. I want you to go into your corporate professional job, your day job, but when that uncomfortable feeling starts to creep in, just notice. And if you notice, I guarantee it won't stay forever. It'll be uncomfortable. Yeah, it will be. But it won't last. It never does. Never has any anchorage, like I just said about the Monday I've just described. Doesn't last, doesn't stay. And experience flows. And the wisdom will come and occur to you of what to do. And a nicer feeling will come. Yeah, okay, sure. You're going to have good days and bad days, and it's going to feel that on the outside world, like life's taking the piss a bit. The workload, the boss, the salary, the lack of pay rise, but you can be the bigger person and notice what's really going on and have the wisdom of what to do next and to thrive and be the best version of you that you possibly can be with this inside out understanding. If you enjoyed that episode and you want to learn more about the inside out understanding and you're struggling in your corporate job and need help, then I offer a 30-minute free clarity call now. and I made it a lot easier to book that call. All you need to do is go to the description in my podcast, or if you go to my Instagram or LinkedIn page, there is a link in there that takes you to my link tree. It's got all my portfolio in there, all my social media presences, how to contact me, and there's also in there how to book the 30-minute clarity call as well. We'll have a very light and light-hearted conversation together about your experiences, whether you like to work with me much more deeply, and we can see if we're a good fit together. I also offer a free work stress guide, so in the description also there'll be a link in there for a free work stress guide if you're interested in that. And if you want to just say hello and let me know what you think of these episodes, and if you're enjoying them or not enjoying them, just let me know. 1thoughtaway1988@gmail.com. That's 1thoughtaway1988@gmail.com. By all means, if you prefer social media these days, then just go on there, find my profile, and send me a DM, and we can talk via that way as well. So, corporate professional, you deserve a good night's sleep. I hope that really helped you. And when you listen to this podcast, I really hope you go to bed, put your head on the pillow, notice what's really going on, and dream the nice dreams that you were born to do. Take care now. I'll speak to you in the next recording on Way of Work Stress Goodbye. Bye-bye now. Bye-bye. If this episode resonated with you, then feel free to connect with me on Instagram or LinkedIn, where I share more insights on work stress, leadership pressure, and the inside out understanding. You can also contact me directly via email at 1thoughtaway1988@gmail.com. And if you're navigating pressure in your own career, you can download my free work stress guide using the link in the show notes. Until next time, take care, and remember, work stress might feel real in the moment, but it isn't who you really are. Thank you.